Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be looking at the Shirogorov knives 111. This is the biggest knife that Shirogorov makes by far. It is sometimes referred to as a pocket sword, aptly so, because, well, we'll get into the actual specs in a minute, but little background on this guy. I got this guy in trade from my Brown Knives Exponent. I liked the Exponent a lot, but it just didn't do anything for me, and I'm a sucker for Shirogorov knives, and I had been looking at 111s even in Recon 1 store, so I knew that I had wanted one, and I was happy that I was able to get this guy to have in my collection, but I have since decided to move this guy along as well and try and trade for some other stuff, which I can get into later in the video. So, starting off, this is a full carbon fiber construction. Both these scales, show and lock side, are full carbon fiber. There's no liners except for the lock side with just the lock bar. As well as it does have a decent amount of internal milling. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this on camera, but it has a decent amount of internal milling, which is nice even though these are carbon fiber, because that really sheds down the weight from this big knife. There's a lot of material here. It's going to be a lot of weight unless it was milled, which it is. So they've definitely been mindful of how big it is and have tried to make it as light as possible. Onto the lock, you have technically I think this is a liner lock. I'm not 100% sure. They have referred to it as a tab lock, I believe. I know on the newer models, this is maybe like one version older than the newest one. On the newest ones, it's literally just like, it's maybe half of this just up here, and you just barely push it and it disengages the lock. So I mean, tab lock, I guess. I don't know. I'm just gonna call it a liner lock though, because I think that's what it is. So for this guy, like most Shirogorovs, you have a flipper deployment, super smooth, even for this gigantic knife. You also have this blade groove here, or full, or whatever you'd like to call it, which makes for fantastic flick deployments. Also, because it's not a frame lock, you don't have to worry about squeezing when you're trying to deploy the knife and that getting in the way of the action. And I'm sure I'm not left-handed. Well, I am left-handed, but not for my knives. And if I was left-handed, I'm sure I could get this guy open in a reasonable manner, even though it's not technically a left-hand knife. But yeah, so the deployment's very smooth, full carbon fiber construction with this full-length titanium backspacer, which looks very nice, with little kind of aesthetic jimping, as well as it kind of tapers into a recessed look into the handle at the top near the flipper tab. You also have their usual for the newer knives with backspacers, but the usual kind of recessed lanyard hole inside the handle, which most people really like because it's not protruding out. It doesn't just have a giant hole through the entire knife, so most people favor that design look. For the scales, this guy is a blue carbon fiber. It's not easy to see even in real life, but it's got some nice little blue accents in it. The carbon fiber is milled with a 3D texture on the raised part. This lowered section right here is smooth, and then this has kind of just generic striation lines milled into the handle on both sides. Hardware is normal. You have their stupid free spinning pivot, which, as you can see from the scratches on the pivot, the previous owner must have used, honestly, it seems like glue, because I had tried so hard to get this unscrewed to clean it out, but I could not, and ended up really messing up the pivot screw in the process, so that's nice. The clip is a little odd. It's different than the normal Shirogorov clip, which has a kind of a signature design. This one, it has a decent amount of ramp, but it's very flush with the handle, so it's kind of difficult, say, if you're wearing jeans or any large, kind of thick material, whatever you're going to try and put it in, whether it's your pants or something like a backpack sleeve or something like that. But other than that, it's pretty typical Shirogorov, similar designs. I enjoy it. I have decided to move it through my collection because I don't like the full carbon fiber construction. Yes, it's hefty, which is, I know I've said a lot of my videos that I like hefty knives, and it is hefty, but something about the kind of the hollowness of the deployment sound, it doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't do it for me. I don't know how to explain it. So I plan on moving this guy through. We'll see how that goes. Might have a new video as a result of this, but we will see. So moving on, we can get into the specs of this guy a little bit. And the overall length is 9 3/4 inches, so extremely large for most people. Most people are probably laughing right now. The blade makes up 4.37 inches of that, with the handle making up the remaining 5.38. So it's a beefy boy. It's big, but in the hand it feels great. Like the handle is big, but the ergonomics are fantastic. In the pocket, I mean, as long as you have a pocket that has more than 5 inches of depth, you're not gonna, like, it really, I mean, it's a slim profile knife, honestly. Like, if I whip out the F95, you can see that width-wise, it's the same width. They've done a good job of making sure to keeping it narrow, and a narrow enough package, while they could still add this extra, just like basically stretch it out. So they were definitely mindful of the fact that this is a big knife, and most people hate big knives. So they obviously put a lot of time and effort into making sure that it's feasible to carry. And it's not bad to carry. It fits in the pocket well, fits in the hand amazingly, super comfortable, but it's just a big knife, so that's gonna turn a lot of people off. If we wanna do size comparison here, you just saw me pull out the F95, and that's probably the most apt comparison I can do with this guy for now. You can see handle wise, 1/11's handle is maybe 1/2 inch larger, but the blade is at least 1 inch. So, I mean, it's still fairly proportionate in terms of their overall designs, but most people are gonna stick with the F95/Hati platform or the Neon Zero. So I guess we'll keep the F95 out, and then we'll also whip out the Holt Spectre. Spectre's a smaller knife. Handle-wise is about at least 1 inch shorter. Blade-wise, probably 1.5 inches. And then I've got my Arius in my pocket, so we can pull that guy out. If I can. So Arius is pretty similar to the Spectre in terms of size and blade length. The Arius pack's pretty much, the Arius pack's a thick blade, but it's about the same length as most knives. You can see the cutting edge is almost the exact same on those too. So for some more practical, I guess, size comparison would be the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and Microtech Ultratech. Both of these knives are fairly similar in size, so you can see lining up the handle, it's about 3/4 of an inch difference. Blade definitely at least 1 inch. So if you didn't know this was a big knife, I hope you do now. It's nice. I mean, it's a Shirogorov. It's going to be a fantastic build quality, materials, execution, everything. It just depends on what kind of package you want it in. If you wanted a smaller package like the Neon or the F95 Hati, and then you F3 is about the same. 111 stands above the rest by far. And yeah, although price-wise, it is this exact same as the F95, at least the normal titanium ones, where they run at $1,095, and the 111s also run at $1,095. The Hatis are $895. So yeah, you kind of get a mix of carbon fiber in there. It's like an F3, except for it doesn't have liners, and it's bigger. But I've decided that I don't like the full carbon fiber construction on Shirogorov knives, so this guy's going to be moving on through. And before I forget, one more thing we should mention is the weight, because as it is a big knife, the weight, surprisingly, I mean, not necessarily surprisingly, but just about 5 ounces, which some people kind of have the golden rule of knives where you should have 1 ounce per every inch of blade. And given that this is doesn't quite meet that ratio, probably might turn some people off. So a 4.3 inch blade versus the 5.1 ounce weight. But like I said, it carries well. It's not super obnoxious in the pocket like you might think. And it's a good knife. I've just decided not really my taste, not really my wheelhouse. So yeah, this has been the Shirogorov 111. Thank you guys for watching.